What does it take to disappear in the year 2025? In movies, disappearing is sexy. It's James Bond with a burner passport, the Breaking Bad disappearer with a new identity for Walter White. But in real life, it's surveillance cameras on every corner, your face in corporate databases, and your heartbeat traceable by Pentagon tech. On this solo episode of The Zach Show, we dive into the dark art of digital vanishing, where extreme privacy consultants like Alec Harris help crypto billionaires, targeted CEOs, and paranoia-soaked civilians scrub themselves from existence. We explore the bizarre tools, psychological toll, and moral gray zones of living a secret life. One client has 191 debit cards. Another hides his entire life behind his friend's bathroom wall. We're not just exploring how you disappear, we're asking why you'd want to. Because in a world where privacy is a luxury good and data breaches happen daily, the fantasy of the escape might be the most rational thing left. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to a solo episode of The Zach Show, and today we're going to learn how to disappear. This episode is based on a deep dive of the article How to Disappear by Benjamin Wallace in The Atlantic. And the reason I wanted to talk about this, every time disappearing comes up in movies, like going off the grid or living a hyper private lifestyle where your identity is not connected to anything. You're kind of moving and shifting through life. Strangers are just, temporary friends until you move to the other location and you sort of build this secret life behind the scenes. It's always framed as this super sexy lifestyle where you're just like detached from everything and you have, no responsibility and you can just kind of, disappear whenever you need to, like a James Bondian sort of, you picture that guy in the suit who's just walking around as an anonymous, spy type figure. He's in a city, he's there for a certain period of time to accomplish something and then boom, he just moves on. And I've never really seen anything on what it would really be like to live that life, whether it is connected to an agency, like in the case of James Bond, or a real life agent in the, CIA, something where like you can't have an open profile, or in the case of this article, maybe you're a high profile CEO or you're a celebrity or you have you're testifying against the cartel and you need to just, get off the grid and sort of have your identity deleted and go into this super private way of life. You rarely get a look behind the curtain of what is this actually involved? Is it what it looks like on TV where you just fucking, there's some guy that comes in and just wipes everything and then hands you your passports and it's like, all right, you live in Bahrain now or wherever the fuck, Oakland, Tennessee, and you can never talk to anyone that you've known for the rest of your life and this is just it. What is that actually like? And so that's why I wanted to get into that today. Again, the article is called How to Disappear. It's by Benjamin Wallace in The Atlantic. And as a note, I'm not going through the full article for time purposes. I've cut out excerpts that include a lot of the article, but just because of time, unless you want this to turn into like a 2-3 hour episode. I mean, if I read the whole article out loud, it would take about 40 minutes, just that. So I've cut out the most interesting parts, in my opinion, to go through. So the article is called How to Disappear by Benjamin Wallace. The subtitle is Inside the World of Extremely Private Consultants Who Fight. See, I'm going private now. My identity is disappearing because I'm getting sucked into the podcast matrix. That's why I can't speak. I am going off the grid. Inside the world of extreme privacy consultants who, for the right fee, will make you and your personal information very hard to find. You could easily mistake Alec Harris for a spy or an escaped prisoner. given all of the tradecraft he devotes to being unfindable. Mail addresses go to a UPS store to him. To buy things online, he uses a YubiKey, a small piece of hardware resembling a thumb drive. To open Bitwarden, a password manager that stores his hundreds of unique, long, random passwords. Then he logs into privacy.com, which sounds like a porn website, a subscription service that lets him open virtual debit cards under as many different names as he wishes. Harris has 191 cards at this point. Holy shit. Each specific to a single vendor, but all linked to the same bank account. This isolates risk. If any vendor is breached, whatever information it has about him won't be exploitable anywhere else. Harris has likewise, strictly limited access to his work and personal phone numbers by associating his main phone with up to 10 different numbers. He has burner numbers and project-specific numbers, a local area code number to give out to workers coming to his house, a dedicated number for two-factor authentication, and a number from a city where he previously lived that he doesn't use much anymore, but is helpful for ambiguating his identity in databases. He has additional numbers that through a fancy hardware modification, even his mobile carriers can't associate with his device. He can also open multiple browser sessions on the phone, each showing a different IP address, which limits tracking and prevents websites from aggregating information about him. Watching porn must be an absolute chore for this guy. I'm just imagining he logs into his phone and then he has to activate his, fucking like cryptic VPNs and put in his 18 fake passwords just to get into his account to get to Pornhub. And then he watches a video and then an ad pops up and then he, accidentally clicks on it, and like it's 5 seconds loading. And sometimes you accidentally click too early and it brings you to another website. He's like, fuck, I got to start over so it doesn't track me and is fucking just... You're kind of keeping the stroke going the entire time, just trying to keep yourself going. But you're also opening a VPN while you're not looking at anything sexy. My point is this, I hope this guy doesn't watch porn because I pictured just like getting through everything that he has set up on his phone as security modifications being an absolute nightmare. And by the time you do it, you're like, I'm not even aroused anymore. I'm just gonna, go back to texting my Aunt Judy, who's an absolute bitch that keeps bothering me to come over, even though we saw each other 2 weeks ago and she doesn't remember because she has dementia. So that is what I picture this guy doing. Let's go on. Let's find out a little bit more about Harris's private life. How Alec Harris, which I'm guessing is not a real name. In a safe at home, Harris keeps prepaid anonymous debit and gift cards, Google Play, Apple Gift, prepaid SIM cards, phones for use in Europe, a Faraday bag to shield wireless devices from hacks and location tracking, a burner laptop, family passports. He also carries a passport card, a wallet-sized government-issued ID that, unlike a driver's license, doesn't show his address. When using Uber, he provides an intersection near his house as his pickup or drop-off point. For food deliveries, he might give a random neighbor's address and after the order is accepted, message the driver, "Oops, I typed out the address wrong. Haha, silly me. Let me know when you're here and I'll run out." If you're ordering Uber Eats, on a regular basis, let's say this dude gets it once a week and you only have so many neighbors who, like you have the neighbor to your right, neighbor to your left, maybe one down the block. Let's say you're ordering Uber Eats 3 to 4 times a month at the least. And maybe this guy is doing it every other day because some people, that's just like their lunch or whatever. Wouldn't your neighbors eventually be like, "Hey, dude, stop sending your food to my driveway. This is the 3rd time this week you've had a Grubhub driver pull up to my front door and then you run out of your door like a madman saying, oh, it's like, just just put in your address. And then as someone who is living a super private life, who's, probably lying constantly to your neighbors about what you do, who you are, whatever, you're kind of keeping this whole ruse up. You have to then make up some dumb excuse like, oh, sorry, I'm retarded. Or, oh, sorry, I accidentally typed something and then your address popped up, and it's like it happens 3 times a week though. So how does that happen? And then you just get caught. So I feel like the better thing to do would be, instead of just sending it to a neighbor's address, drop the pin just on some intersection near your house, or like a corner, like a street corner, and just meet the guy there, and then pick it up and walk back to your house. Like, don't send it to someone else's house, because then people are going to ask questions like, why are you doing this every other day? This is weird. The article goes on. Harris is the CEO of Haven X. Sounds very secretive. Haven X, a firm that provides its clients with extreme privacy and security services. It was spun off from Halo, which focuses on government clients, in 2023. Haven customers, some of who pay tens of thousands of dollars a month, typically face serious threats. Some are celebrities or ultra-wealthy families. Others are business executives. Interest from this group has risen from the business executives since the killing of the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson last year. I guess that would be one of the things, like one of the like these companies. It's kind of like a Lockheed Martin. Whenever we go to war, everyone else is like, fuck this. Like, I don't want the United States to get into another war. Like, shit's that's going on with Iran. And then Lockheed Martin is behind closed door. Like, yes, look, come on. That's fit another 50 billion, boys. Let's go. Let's fucking fire up those B-2s. Come on, let's get those missiles cranking. Yeah, buddy. And then they have to, like, go out into normal life at cocktail parties and be like, yeah, we're just so upset about the Iran war. Can't believe we're going to the Middle East again. And then when the people go away, they're just like, yes, let's fucking go. I imagine this is what it's like for Haven X. Anytime there's an assassination, everyone's like, oh my God, could you believe the United Healthcare CEO got assassinated? And then they're just seeing like all the emails come in from other CEOs like, please give me protection. I'll give you $100,000 a month. And they're like, yeah, it's so fucking sad what's happening. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. So, yeah, this is the demand is up. The demand is up since the killing of United Healthcare CEO last year. It goes on to say the recent Signal leak, too, in which the editor-in-chief of this magazine was erroneously added to a high-level Trump administration group, triggered more than a few corner office freakouts. Many Haven X clients come from the cryptocurrency world. Some made a fast fortune, and because they can't park their crypto in a bank, are unusually vulnerable. Some run crypto companies and are seen, accurately or not, as controlling access to other people's digital wealth. The recent crypto market boom has brought a wave of kidnappings in which some crypto owners have even been held for ransom or tortured into surrendering the keys to their coins. Harris said the first quarter this year was Haven X's busiest since the spinoff. So business is a booming, and it does make you wonder if crypto and Bitcoin, and I'm an owner. I do own some Bitcoin. That's the only thing I own. And you have to wonder, because like, even though Bitcoin is doing well right now, I just passed 105,000 the other day. Still a small minority of people in the United States and around the globe own Bitcoin. And in the grand scheme of things, I don't know what it is, 1-2%, if that, own some sort of cryptocurrency across the globe. I'll have to fact check that. I'll put up a thing if that's wrong. But still, like, it's not most people. So you have to wonder if people are already being kidnapped for their cryptocurrency. And if you do get someone to hand over their Bitcoin key and you take it from them, it's extremely hard to get that back, because you'd have to track the wallet, and you'd have to figure out the identity of the people who stole it from you. Maybe they don't even have to kidnap you. Maybe they just hack your computer somehow, and then they get your key, and then boom, you pull up your Coinbase account, and your money is gone. So if people are already being kidnapped for crypto where it is now, where such a small percentage of people in the grand scheme of things own a cryptocurrency, are we heading towards some future crypto kidnapping state where force determines wealth? Because if you can just, go in and take someone's money, and then it's extremely hard to track, and then it's not insured, the bank's not gonna give you money back if you own cryptocurrency. You're lucky if you have it insured somewhere else. Like if that is already happening now, are we heading towards some like futuristic dystopian kidnap state where the person who has the most guns, person who has the most weapons, who can apply the most force, like if they can just roll in, hold you at gunpoint, take your key, and then boom, like your wallet's gone, and then that's it. What are the repercussions for that in the future? And I think if cryptocurrency keeps going the direction it's going, and people realize like, oh fuck, this is not just a fad, because there's still a huge percentage of people who think that crypto is like a nothing burger, like it's just a fad, it'll go up, it'll go down. But like if Bitcoin, it's worth like $1 million, and then more companies start accepting Bitcoin, and it comes more of like an everyday currency, just like the dollar or the euro, like people are gonna freak out and be like, oh shit, like I fucked up, I should have bought Bitcoin. And then powerful people will be able to come in and kidnap your ass and take your key. So we'll get into like a future environment where like everyone's kind of like scared to lose their currency that has no backup. Like if it's gone, it's gone. And that is a scary thing to think about. We'll see how the world of cryptocurrency evolves with that like force application factor that's already being seen. The article goes on. It says, a tall, fit 43-year-old, Harris answered the door with a welcoming smile. So this is the journalist coming in saying, I want to see about your life. Harris answers the door with a welcoming smile. I had been able to find the house only because Harris told me the address in advance. When I looked up his name in a paid database where you can reliably find such information, I'd seen other addresses for him, but not this one. After Harris gave me the address, I searched for it and found only the name of a trust. Also, Harris doesn't have a dog. The toys out front were for show, a subtler version of a fake home security system sign. So this guy is taking the private life seriously to the point where he's set designing his house as a dog owner. He's leaving fake toys out in his front yard, which how far is he taking this? Because like, let's say someone who actually wants to come hurt you, maybe they see the toys out in the front yard, and this is something they've seen before as like a dog deterrent, and they pick up the toy and there's no chew marks or anything, and that guy's going like, yeah, we're good. They don't have fucking dogs. These are fake like the last time. Like, is this Alec Harris guy, is he chewing on the toys to make them seem chewed up like a dog actually lives there? Like, how far is he taking this? Is Alec Harris taking dumps in the front yard and then sort of cutting up his human-sized dumps to make them look like dog-sized dumps so that people think that there's an actual dog living there? Like, if you're going to set design your house, you might as well go for it. Go full blow. Chew on the doggy toys. Take a shit in your front yard. Play some surround sound speakers with, dogs barking in the backyard. You really fucking go for it, because if you're going to this level where you're changing your entire life to be super private, why not go all in? So I'm just wondering, I'm just picturing this guy waiting till 2 a.m. and then going out to his front yard and just fucking plopping a fat deuce on his front lawn and then cutting it up with silverware and spreading it around. From a cabinet in his office, Harris pulled a sheaf of legal documents and began to show me how he managed his double life. Achieving residential anonymity has been a process. When he bought the house, he'd set up the trust using a close friend as the trustee. Once the home purchase was complete, the friend resigned and named Harris as his successor. Mail sent here, including near-daily Amazon deliveries, is addressed to either the trust or some other name, whether a random pseudonym Harris used when filling out a form or something generic like quote-unquote postal customer. It's extraordinarily hard when every one of us is ceaselessly flaking off informational DNA to live privately. And if you're flaking off gives a very disturbing, like skin flakes, like people just like fucking constantly peeling skin flakes or like fucking like old jizz stains in hotels that crust up and like those flake off onto the pillows. Like flaking was a very visceral verb to use. It really presents an image to the mind. If you're targeted by a nation state with a signals intelligence dragnet, forget it. Your face or voice or gait or how you move your mouse will betray you. A properly equipped snoop using a method called Van Eck freaking, which, sounds like a Swedish sex move, can replicate the contents of your laptop screen from an adjacent hotel room, even if your computer isn't equipped for Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, by detecting variations in electromagnetic radiation. So that's good to know. People can just fucking Van Neck freak off your laptop from an entirely different room. You could be doing everything right, and then someone's in the other room just fucking siphoning off all your credit card information, all your logins with some technology to detect electromagnetic radiation, which I guess I don't know how you totally get rid of that, especially when you're traveling. If you're using your laptop, the Pentagon has tested an infrared laser, Jetson, that can nail your identity from 200 yards away based on your signature heart rhythms. A Department of Defense official involved with the project told MIT Technology Review. Part of me is just like, why even try to be private? If the Pentagon is letting us know that they have a laser that can beam you from 200 yards away and detect your heartbeat, that means they have something that could work at like 1,000 yards or 10,000 yards. Like the shit that they're sharing in public is the baseline level shit that they've probably had for 20 years already. And now they're just letting us know. So it's like sometimes like people do these, it's like adorable nowadays where people will go, oh, you can't get my browser history because I'm on incognito mode. Yeah, you can't fucking find my shit. And they'll say, oh, I sent this text through Signal, so no one's reading that. And it's like, dude, if someone with the technology, if someone at an agency wants to get into your phone, they have the tools to do that. They could fucking they don't even have to see you. They just beam a laser at your heart and figure out who you are. They could intercept a text through an app that is probably, being built in Silicon Valley with, CIA plants in the company that know exactly what the technology is. Or maybe the CIA has had that technology already for 20 years, and now it's like becoming public through these cryptic apps. But sometimes people are like, oh yeah, dude, like I'm off the grid. I'm using these encrypted apps. I'm like, dude, if the right person who's actually dangerous wants to read what you're reading, if they're motivated enough, they can fucking get access to it. It's ridiculous. They're fucking, they're beaming lasers at your to find your heartbeat from 3 blocks away. Yeah. So the Pentagon tested infrared laser, can nail you from 200 yards away. Department of Defense officially told the MIT Technology Review. Jeff Bezos claimed he was fished by Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, who allegedly infected the world's 3rd richest person's phone with spyware via a video attachment in a WhatsApp message. If Bezos was right, the Saudi embassy denied it and an FBI investigation was inconclusive. But UN experts believe the crown prince was likely the culprit. Then what hope do the rest of us have? I mean, if Jeff Bezos, CEO of Amazon, or former CEO, worth hundreds of billions of dollars, he spent billions of dollars on surveillance contracts with the NSA. If this guy is getting hacked, what hope do the rest of us have? Like, exactly what they said in the article. I'm just, fucking repeating it. What hope do the rest of us have? But like, legitimately, that is what I'm thinking when I'm reading shit like this. And it's also like knowing that Jeff Bezos, spent billions of dollars, which still isn't, it's not even a chunk of his total net worth. But Jeff Bezos is spending billions of dollars on NSA contracts, and he's doing all this work in surveillance, and then he gets hacked by a prince in his robe that's just fucking in his kitchen sending Jeff Bezos a WhatsApp video, and he's probably like talking to his friends like, he's fucking getting fucked up with the other Saudi princes, the fucking tigers walking around bitches. They probably did this from like, it's like 9 a.m. US time wherever Bezos was living, and then it's like 4 a.m. in Saudi Arabia, and they're just like, all the princes are around like, I bet I could fucking get Bezos to click on this video message, and the other princes are just fucking just like, dude, no fucking way. You can't get Jeff Bezos to open a video. He's got all those fucking security contracts. There's no way. And then the crown prince is like, watch this. And he just sends Bezos the 2 girls, 1 cup video. And then Bezos is drinking coffee at 9 a.m. And he's like, oh shit, 2 girls, 1 cup. Haven't seen that in a while. Boom. Hacked. That's what it probably wasn't like a high level thing. They were probably like, it was a WhatsApp message. It was a video WhatsApp message. Like that is what we're dealing with. That, like, you could just open something and your entire phone gets hacked. It is funny to imagine Bezos like getting hacked by something that is a level of like, I've taken these HR security training courses for work where they're like, yeah, if you get a message from a number you don't know, don't even open it, let alone click on a link or a video. And that's literally like step 1 of the video. And it's funny to imagine Bezos like spending all this money on surveillance and security, and then he gets like a WhatsApp video from the Saudi prince. He's like, oh shit, oh goddamn, I haven't seen those girls in a while. And then boom, just getting hacked. So yeah, Bezos got, and looks like it could have been by the Saudi prince. They also say, I want to go back to another part of this article, where they just wrote, or Benjamin Wallace, the author of this article, wrote. He said, "And if you're targeted by a nation state with signals and intelligence dragnet, forget it. Your face or voice or gait or how you move your mouse will betray you." So our physical bodies are literally, our bodies have become the social media feed, the social media posts for the Pentagon. Like the same way that we scroll content and we're like, oh, I wonder what's happening here. Like, oh, this bitch is, she's doing her muffin videos, and, this guy's jerking off on a muffin, and this guy's hunting deer, eating muffin. Like the same way that we'll scroll through content, the Pentagon is scrolling through our actual physical bodies going like, well, here's this guy's face, and like, oh, this is this guy. We could tell by the way that he walks. Oh, this guy, his voice, we just heard it out on an ATM cam, and we know he's here right now. And like the Pentagon could literally just scroll through a feed of everyone's physical body, our entities, on like whatever they have, like some massive thing where it's just like, oh yeah, that's connecting the voice to the way you walk, to your heartbeat, to like, it does sound fun, if I'm being honest. Like if you worked for the Pentagon and you just like have this thing where you could just fucking be like, oh, I'm gonna check on Paul today, and I'm fucking scrolling, it's like, oh, we gotta hit on Paul's voice when he went to the grocery store. Like, we picked it up his walk on a street cam, and you can just fucking literally just go and see what people are doing. But there is a super dark side to it that we are we're turning into this content, but it's more sinister than that because it's like content for manipulation and constant surveillance. We have become the thing that our own agencies, Pentagon, CIA, NSA, whatever, are addicted to watching, except it's not to scroll on TikTok to get triggered by, political takes. It's to, take away more and more powers of privacy from people until we ultimately get to the point where, like, you could just watch someone in their living room. Like, if you could beam a laser through a window and figure out who someone is from 200 yards away, like, you don't think that cameras or satellites will get to a point where you could, like, bounce something off something and, like, use, some sort of electromagnetic signature and, like, fully watch someone in their apartment. Like, that's gonna happen one day where, like, if someone wants to watch you, they can watch you and just sort of like scroll through the feeds of different people. So it is getting to a point that is, like, I'm talking about this, and it's fun to record a solo podcast, but at the same time, I'm just like realizing in real time how absolutely fucked we are for any want of privacy. The article goes on. Alec writes, or not Alec, Benjamin Wallace writes, but for most people, Big Brother is a multinational corporation. Thanks to our blithe surrender of privacy over the past 2 decades in return for conveniences such as free email, supercomputers in our pockets, same-day package delivery, and the names of third and fourth cousins we've never heard of before. We now inhabit a panopticon of doorbell cameras and traffic cameras on Google's Street View cameras and police body cameras and phone cameras and retail security cameras and the cameras of Mark Zuckerberg's Ray-Ban smart glasses, of geolocating phones and AirTags, of eavesdropping Siris and Alexas. Apps and mobile carriers can pinpoint not just what your apps and mobile carriers, can pinpoint not just what building you're in, but which floor you're on by using your phone's barometer and GPS and the strength of your signal. Much of that information is sold almost instantaneously through an automated shadow economy of location data brokers. So is your precise behavior in stores such as Walmart, where unseen Bluetooth beacons record which products you linger in front of. So are countless other details about you that you may or may not want people to know. And in the past few years, as corporations have become more and more dependent on cloud storage, the number of data breaches in the United States has exploded, nearly doubling from 1,801 data breaches to 3,205 annual incidents from 2022 to 2023, according to the nonprofit Identity Theft Resource Center. There was just that data breach last week with 16 billion phone logins hacked, where they got the Facebook ones, the Gmail ones, the Apple ones. I have to go back into my own password. I have a thing where I have all my passwords behind a security wall thing, and now I'm like, I have to go back and change everything now because they described it as the mother of all data breaches. That 16 billion people's logins apparently got hacked and are now up for sale, where you can literally go to the leak where the logins are, and it shows the login and passwords, and you could see screenshots of it that they blur out the sensitive information, but it's like literally an Excel sheet of like, this is this person's login and password for Gmail, login password, Facebook. So it's like times 16 billion, fucking insane. Most of us, ignorant, indifferent, overwhelmed, shrug. At best, maybe we half-heartedly comply with the 5 things you need to do right now to protect yourself online. LinkedIn thread, which is basically what I do. I was like, okay, I got to get a password manager. I'll do 2-factor identification. Boom. I'm good. So I'm one of those people. We half-heartedly comply with the 5 things you need to do right now to protect yourself online. LinkedIn thread, such as using a password manager and 2-factor authentication. Others, including Harris and his clients, have taken more radical steps, and they have done so by drawing, knowingly or not, from the tradecraft of a former cop named Michael Basil. It was from Basil that Harris learned how to set up his trust and got the ideas for the passport card and dog toys. On a bookshelf in his home, alongside Jared Lanier's You Are Not a Gadget, is Basil's exhaustive guide to the dark 21st century art. Extreme Privacy, What It Takes to Disappear. Basil is something of a real-life Ed Galbraith, the Breaking Bad character known as the Disappearer, who sells and repairs vacuums by day and by night sets people up with new lives and identities. Unlike Galbraith, who offered his services to fugitives, Basil consulted for law-abiding people who wanted to be unfindable by strangers. Some were government officials who'd put violent people behind bars or been swarmed by online mobs. Some were entertainers who wanted to be famous but also have peace of mind. Some were targets of deranged obsessives such as homicidal exes. Some were dangerously rich. And some simply objected to the nosy predations of surveillance capitalism. Basil had his own awakening in 2001 as an Illinois beat cop turned cybercrime detective. His work had led to the arrest of a local elections official for soliciting sex from a 14-year-old. Amid the ensuing media coverage of that and similar arrests, internet annons made death threats against Basil, and he was shocked to learn how easy it was to find his home address online. Soon after, browsing at the library, he discovered How to Be Invisible, a book by a missionary, interesting, named J.J. Luna. Assigned to the Canary Islands in the 1960s, when Spain's Franco government was persecuting Protestants, Luna was forced to live undercover. When he returned to the U.S. in 1988, he decided to maintain his private lifestyle and publish a book showing others how they might do the same, using LLC ghost addresses and other tricks. Though he catered to people in dire situations, Basil experimented on himself. To ensure that his cell phone was never associated with his address, he kept it off and in a Faraday bag until he arrived at a four-way intersection some distance from his home. He submitted a fake obituary for one of his aliases to legacy.com. So Basil is this mastermind, disappearer privacy guy who essentially takes people and says, yeah, I will make everything go away. I will use my tactics. And this is the guy that apparently linked Alec Harrison from earlier in the article to sort of plug into this privacy matrix. And so, yeah, he makes calls at intersections. He keeps his phone in bags that protect from, figuring out the signature. He submitted a fake obituary for one of his aliases to legacy.com. And I looked this up just because I was curious. I was like, what do you need for an obituary? You could just write an obituary for yourself. You don't need a death certificate. You could just make an entire thing online for a newspaper or website. And if you make it, look somewhat believable, they'll just accept it and they'll post it. You don't actually need to show a death certificate. So I feel like the people who will stop at seeing an obituary for you aren't the people who are actually going to harm you. But if someone's looking to harm you, like if I'm a dangerous guy and I'm looking for someone and I harm them and I want to harm them, and like maybe they're living off the grid in Alaska, but their last known location was Chicago. And then I see an obituary for the guy that I've been hunting for months, like, oh, died in a car accident in Chicago. Immediately, I'm like, this is fake. There's no way, like, conveniently, this guy who, maybe was in some trouble or, was testifying for against a dangerous group or like whatever it was. There's no way he just like died and that was it. Like, if I'm in the game, if I'm causing trouble, if I'm strapped to the gills and I'm hunting down targets, like the people that are actually going to do damage to you, the reason why you would go into this lifestyle of an obituary is almost a signal to me where I'm like, oh yeah, he's still alive. Like if I don't see anything, I'm like, maybe this dude is dead. But if I see an obituary, I'm like 100% fake. This seems a little bit counterintuitive. So, but I also wondered, like, Because if you're putting out these fake things, like you're throwing up these fake flares of information, essentially. If you're living off the grid, if you're living this hyper private lifestyle, you're creating all this content about you that is not real. And so I wonder if with the reaction to the surveillance state that we're, in right now, some countries worse than others, like China, where they have that social credit score system. But in the US, we're essentially being watched by something anytime you walk out the door. People's reaction to this surveillance state, will it be an influx of disinformation to obfuscate identity? Like the fake obituaries, right? Like, having these fake numbers, or maybe like being able to put your address as somewhere that it's not, or geotagging yourself in another location, or putting up, like deep fake posts of you at a national park when you weren't actually there to throw people off. If the reaction to the surveillance state that we're going deeper and deeper into every day is to generate massive amounts of disinformation to obfuscate identity, are we heading towards this disinformation arms race, this obfuscation arms race, where it's going to be impossible to verify anything because people just get so afraid of constantly being watched that they're just shooting off these disinformation flares about their identity, about their job, about their kids, but like that eventually, like, the internet is going to become meaningless because everything will be fake out of the fear of constantly being watched. Maybe people will just give into it and be like, fuck it, I don't give a shit, watch me, I don't care. But I do think it's like an interesting thought experiment of like, what if 10% of the population in 2050 says, fuck this, I'm done with the surveillance state, I'm living, off the grid, private, whatever you want to call it, and they go, everything from this point on that I put on the internet is not going to be real. It's going to be meant to throw people off. And then my real life is only going to be lived in person. You won't be able to verify anything anymore, because if only 10% of people choose to do that, that's a huge amount of internet traffic. And internet traffic, internet posts, content does not live in a vacuum. Then people are going to interact with that and say, oh, like, I like this picture, leave a comment. Oh, you wrote this article about this, but like that's all just fake. And so that's going to be woven, all this disinformation is going to be woven into the thread, into the fabric of the internet. And there's already enough disinformation out there about news and politics, but now it's going to be like a clusterfuck of disinformation about news, politics, and people's personal identities, all in a reaction to this hyper surveillance state. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens in the future. Thank you for watching up to this point, and that was just the first half of our deep dive on how to disappear. If you're hooked on this topic, the second half of this episode goes even deeper. We unpack the future of the capitalist surveillance state, the psychology of being watched, the bizarre downfalls of living a hyper-private life, and plenty more wild stories. You can unlock all 40 plus extra minutes of this episode by joining the Zach Show 2.0 at thezachshow.supercast.com. Membership gets you the full video and audio version of this and all future episodes, priority access to submit questions and topics, monthly essays, exclusive AMAs, and the entire back catalog of bonus content. This show runs on your support, so if you enjoy these conversations, please consider subscribing at thezachshow.supercast.com today, and let's keep building this thing. I'll see you there.